Welcome to the Postpartum Coach podcast, where we embrace our needs as moms, we learn to lead ourselves first, then our families, and where we create our own healing from the inside out to find our way to the work we were meant to do in this world. I'm your host, a fellow mom of 3 and a certified life coach, Lizzie Langston. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, to say hi to you for just a second at the beginning, is my one and only middle child, first and only daughter, Rosalind Claire Langston. Rosie, come say hi.
Hello.
Rosie just wanted to tell each of you about something really special that came in the mail for her this week. So come right here. What do you want to tell them?
We ordered some toys with my dad. Mm-hmm. And they came in the mail already.
And what was inside of them? What kind of things are in there?
Well, there was a genie bottle and then...
A genie bottle? Mm-hmm. What else?
And then an Elena doll.
Princess Elena of Avalor. What else? Tell me like one more thing that was in there. Like a dog. There was like a little puppy dog with an outfit that you could put on it.
And he's a bubbly head.
He has a bubbly, bobbly head.
And they got a little puppy.
Yeah. Cool.
With a suit.
Yeah, it has a suit with it. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Rosalind Claire. I love to look at your blue eyes when you talk. So Rosie is going to be very quiet in her chair behind my desk while I record this podcast. Right, Rosie?
Ew.
All right. That was the one and only Rosie Claire. Before I dive into today's episode, I wanted to share with you guys just some personal life happenings because I think it's just fun. I hope you feel connected to me. I want to connect with you. What I wanted to share with you is my dog last night. He chewed up something that is not edible, like a plastic toy. And in the night, we learned this morning as we woke up to 5 different puddles of vomit on our carpet upstairs. And it's not just regular old, like, I don't want to go into details, but it's dark and our carpet is kind of like a light beige. So needless to say, there will be some scrubbing and potentially permanent damage. Isn't that fun? But I just feel really chill about it, honestly. A little bugged, but chill. And then the other thing I wanted to share with you, I've talked about this a little bit on Instagram stories, but my kids, so I have Jensen who's 6, and then I have Rosie who's almost 5, and then I've got Amos who's 3. And Amos and Jensen and Rosie, all of them, have a cold right now. And the old me, previous to the tools of life coaching, would have just been really up in arms about it. I know this because that version of my brain and of myself presented itself to me when they first started having symptoms of a cold. And I noticed that the crazy train of anxiety about their colds was available to me. And I used to go down, jump on the crazy train and go down that path and that ride of anxiety. And now I just don't. I see it in my mind, but I know that it's anxiety. I've labeled that train. And so instead of taking a ride on it, I just pass and say, no, thank you. And I stay in this really calm, grounded energy. And what I noticed is I am so good at having a mothering instinct and noticing the little nuances of the development of a cold and the phases they go through. And I'm really good at maintaining the inflammation in his lungs and keeping him regulated with breathing treatments. I'm so good at that. And I care for him so well when I don't have a ton of anxiety. And I very easily could have justified some anxiety, right? There's COVID-19. There's people that have that in the hospital. And if he were to have to go to the hospital, the risk for somehow getting COVID while he's there. And yet, again, my brain offered that to me. So it's not that I didn't think about it. It was in the awareness, but I just didn't pick it up and take it. I didn't go down that path. And I'm so proud of that, frankly, and I'm really grateful for the work that I've done. I was explaining what I just explained to you to my life coach, Candace, and I was telling her about just the miraculous. I mean, it's not miraculous because I definitely worked on it a lot, but the progress I've made with anxiety. She's like, well, how did that happen? And so my initial response is, oh, coaching. But to be honest, nobody that I studied coaching with and nobody that I purchased coaching from really taught me how to manage anxiety. I never hired a coach for managing anxiety. I just was a person who had anxiety, and I was a person who was getting life coaching to work on my business mindset as I grew my business. And I put two and two together, and I just experimented and explored and came up with so many of my own methods and ways to treat and manage anxiety and to calm myself and my body. So it was really my own signature created approach here and there everywhere. And I thought that was kind of cool. So I wanted you guys to know that, because when you work with me, it really is unique to me and it really works. And it's from trial and error on myself first. So I'm not unwilling to do anything that I ask my clients to do because I've done it all. And I know what doesn't work. I know talking yourself out of your anxiety, for example, trying to logically talk yourself out of anxiety doesn't work, as well as some other things do that I teach my clients. So if you ever notice that you have a lot of anxiety and you just want to work with me on it, I'd love to. It's just LizzieLangston.com/consult for a free 60 minutes. Okay, so let's get into this episode. As I reflected on the last little bit, I've been in this moment, okay, last little tidbit, but this does relate to what I'm about to tell you. So a little bit of context. The last 3 weeks, basically the month of October, has been a month where I've done some really deep digging. I'm at a place in my business where I have lots of clients and I'm thinking about where I'm headed as a business owner and where I want to take my skill set in the next, 2 to 3 years. What's in the future for me and my business? And as I've been in this very contemplative place, I've been thinking about who I've become that's allowed me to get to this point. I've also thought about who I'm going to be as I continue forward, but I want to spend some time talking about who I've been, where I've been, and specifically this tendency I've noticed, this pattern of me saying yes. Saying yes to my growth every time. And in order to grow at the profound rate that I have grown, I have also had to say yes to some new things to support myself through the growth in accomplishing my dreams. And as you guys listen to me recounting some experiences and some things I've said yes to this last year or 2 years, I want you to consider, what are you wanting to say yes to right now in your life that you haven't said yes to yet? So from a really clean and loving space for yourself, not with any judgment or self-criticism, are there things and experiences in your life you want to experience, or places you want to live, or something you want to change in your house, or work you want to do with a coach or any other type of work? Is there something in your life that you feel like you want to say yes to, but you haven't yet? And it's like the kind of sitting on the decision that doesn't feel good. Is there any yes in your life that once you say yes to that thing, you will be enveloped in growth and development in who you are as a person? So I'm going to take you through some ways that I said yes this year and the growth that I noticed. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each of them. I'm just going to kind of go through many of them. And I really would love for you to just step back and consider your yeses up to this point, and also some potential yeses you could consider saying yes to or partaking in as you move forward. Where is your next growth? Okay, so I love saying yes. I said yes so many times. I have said yes to millions of dollars in the future. I've just opened myself up to that. I really struggled to receive the vision and the direction that I feel like God and I are going. And I was kind of like, if God and I were a team, I was like, let me just sit on the bleachers while you play in the field. And he sat on the bleachers with me until I was ready to get back in the game. And I said yes to millions. I said yes to thousands of women. I have helped maybe hundreds at this point, but now we're going to, I might have like over 1,000. I don't even know. It doesn't matter. But I just said yes to a vision that's not mine, that the Lord invited me to partake in. And that was invigorating and thrilling, frankly. I said yes to debt. As part of saying yes to that vision, one new thing that I said yes to and a new mindset that I took was debt. Borrowing money, basically paying for money, paying to have money now. And I've come to believe that debt can be a marvelous thing. I don't even call it, like, debt, I think, is such a loaded word for so many of us. So I'm just going to call it buying money. Buying money is a strategy that I totally condone, and I love it. When it is used with a high self-concept, with a lot of faith, and with planning and good measure, I think that buying money can be a really smart move. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of fear and shame around it, and there's a lot of heaviness, and people have used it improperly or not preparedly, and have then gotten themselves into a lot of trouble and given the rest of us who are kind of neutral about it a reason to be afraid of it. But ultimately, all things are neutral, and sometimes I choose to love, and I have said yes to buying money, and I'm so grateful for that. It was necessary for me as part of achieving my dream and carrying out the vision that I feel like the Lord has invited me to. I say yes to spending and to hiring all sorts of kinds of people. Instead of just budgeting a ton, I just make more money. And I actually really love budgeting, but I was taught budgeting from a very scarce place and like lack. And frankly, that I was like repulsed by it. I didn't want anything to do with it. And now that I've created abundance around money for myself, like I can budget. I don't even call it budgeting. It doesn't not the traditional way of thinking about it, but I just say yes to creating more money to spend more instead of a ton of restriction. Although I do think that planning carefully with our money is awesome, and I do that too. I say yes to pleasure. Instead of being quiet about what I want in the bedroom or like in my body in general and the pleasure, like getting a massage or anything like that, I say yes to me enjoying my body. And I have found a profound connection with my body this past year that has really been grounding in, I think, helping me to be where I'm going to go in the next few years. I say yes to unconventional motherhood. And unconventional maybe sometimes has a bad rap, but for me, I'm so proud of how I've totally hand created my motherhood in a way that suits me as an individual. I don't see as many moms doing that. I do see so many women doing that. And I also see a lot of people living their motherhood from fear and obligation, and it creates burnout, a lot of anxiety, a lot of just stiffness and less playfulness, passion, and purpose. And so I have said yes to unconventional and to doing it my way with personal revelation and with the Lord. And I'm so grateful. I've been so blessed to be guided in that way. I love saying yes to me as much as I say yes to my 6-year-old, almost 5-year-old, and 3-year-old. I love that I keep taking care of me just as equal as taking care of them. For sure, like if it came down to life or death, the mother bear in me, like they win every time. But as far as like day-to-day hygiene and just emotional practice, like we are all taken care of, including myself. And I'm really proud of that. I have said yes this year to a deeper extent to grace, to allowing the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ. I have ended a years-long battle with self-criticism. I forgive myself in the moment. My body used to hold on to tough, heavy emotions like rigid sternness, and now I can release them in that same moment. I say yes to love. We all know our Savior and our God love us, but this last few months, I've said yes to receiving it, and I've dared to believe that I even deserve it. I try to see myself through their eyes. I've said yes to my imperfections. I used to really try to keep up appearances. I wanted like reputation, and I even still do this, frankly, and I have to really work on it. In this group that I'm in for my business, I notice myself sometimes wanting to almost perform for other people. And so I have to bring it back to me and to my business and like my own self and my own compass in my heart. But I allow myself to be truly seen over the last little bit, like I would say 3 or 4 months, in a way that I haven't in my whole life. And again, it's so invigorating. And I'm noticing that I attract friends and associates in the workplace that are just stellar. And I love that I get to see those fruits of me just really allowing myself to be seen, deeper connections, less anxiety. It's so great. I said yes to other people's gifts. I talked about this a little bit, but I this year have paid a massage therapist who has hands that are just so blessed. Like my body just speaks to her. I've said yes to working with an energy worker who's helped me make really important shifts. I've hired a business coach, a sex coach, marriage. I've done work on my marriage. I've done work on processing emotions and done extra trainings for that in my business. I've just said yes to hiring people that have really special spiritual gifts. And I've just said yes to healing and spiritual gifts. Like that is a thing and it's on the earth today, almost probably more than it's ever been. Of course we need it. I'm so grateful for women and the people that have shared their spiritual gifts with me. I've said yes to politics. I used to shy away. I used to love staying in the unknown. And now I have opinions, and sometimes I change them. Sometimes they're different from my husband or my political party. And I really am getting intentional about what I believe and doing my due diligence there. I said yes to money. I know I already talked about this a little bit, but I love having money and I love spending money. I've just said yes to like really developing a relationship that is my own with money and not avoiding it or thinking it's dirty or thinking that it causes it causes people to leave the church or it causes people to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. Like really just cleaning up and tidying up that relationship with money. It's been so rewarding and just fulfilling. Okay, this is really cute. A small update. Rosie was playing so quietly behind me in my chair and I just looked back and she fell asleep, guys. She's asleep. Transfer to her bed successful. Thanks for hanging in there. All right. I also said yes to deeper faith. I've spoken a little bit about this on the podcast, but I had a genuine kind of church crisis where I didn't lose my faith and testimony of the Savior Jesus Christ, but I had some time where I didn't feel welcome or loved or comfortable at church because of my thoughts about the other women. And I said yes to holding on to a long-term testimony and to protecting and defending and nourishing my faith. And what that looked like too at the time was allowing for questions and allowing for my desire to be really, really small and partially non-existent. The last year or so, I said yes to public speaking and developing the gift of public speaking. My life coach school held a conference and they invited any one of us certified coaches to prepare a 5-minute speech and turn it in. And I hired a public speaking coach who helps prepare TED Talk speakers and just went all out. And I did a wonderful, amazing job. I said yes to developing that part of myself. This year, in the last couple years, as I started this business and allowed myself to grow, I said yes to letting go of old friends and making space for new ones. I love that. And it was painful, but it was like a purging. And as I let go of parts of myself, I inevitably let go of friends too. And the most brilliant part of that was how much love you can feel in saying goodbye or giving space between you and someone else. And then also the amazement of the types of women that I have drawn into my circle as I've said yes to growth and change. I said yes to a future I can scarcely imagine and hold on to in my heart. I just said yes to all of it. The Lord, I want to offer He does this for all of us, Like, it's a beautiful part of being alive in this day and age. And at this point in the restoration of his church is that, like, there's so much vision and foresight available to each one of us, right? Like the prophet and the apostles have specific callings and they hold specific priesthood keys. And we share in common with them the gift of the Holy Ghost to truly receive downloads from heaven. They don't always come when we want, and they're not always exactly what we want, but practice saying yes to all of it. And even when, like Moses, you're like, why me? Why would you choose me? I can't speak well, or I can't do this. Like, I had all of those thoughts about myself, but as I have allowed Christ to help me mold my self-concept, he has taught me how to see myself in the most eternally true way. And finally, I said yes to my power, to the divine within me. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. There have been many points in my business where I had the choice between two roads. For example, do I hire someone to watch the kids, or do I work while watching the kids and mothering and trying to do it at the same time, which I've tried both. I prefer to separate the two. Do I invest more to make more in my business, right? Do I put more money towards my business or buy money in a way to invest in my business? Or do I stay cautious and try to spend as little as possible? Do I work full-time or part-time? Do I aim to make $50K or $100K? And at each one of these crossroads, I've just leaned into where my growth was, which is a personal thing between you and the Lord, right? Between us and the Lord. But I purposefully always leaned into my growth. It wasn't always immediate. Sometimes I had to take a prompting I received or a path, one of those choices and just chew on it for a minute and allow all the feelings. But as I leaned into my growth, I've seen the pattern of Jesus Christ as I've done so. I like to believe that him living the life he led and being that example for all of us was something he said yes to in the pre-existence. Before we were all here on this earth and as we were all spirits, like he ultimately agreed. He used his power of choice and he volunteered to do what he did. He signed up for it, but he said yes to his growth and to his example to all of us. So, Mama, wrapping it back over to you, where is your next growth? Where do you want to say yes? Go down to your body for a minute, turn off your brain, just align yourself with your energy, with your spirit, with your flesh, literally the physical sensations and emotions in your body, and ask that body that never lies where your next growth is. This might be kind of new to you to feel things in your body first, but it's really powerful. So where is your next growth? You can feel that even when we're a little bit scared, there is no shrinking. Like, you very well know that it's just a matter of time before you say yes to your growth. You are enough. Always have been. You are his. You are of the earth. You are stardust. You are one with your creator. You were created to create, and you were created by somebody that creates. We are creators. As a mother, you said yes to creating babies, and here you are. And if we, as mothers and women, are not deliberate in saying yes to ourselves as well as to our motherhood, then we essentially say no to both. Let me say that again. In saying yes to motherhood, if you're not also deliberately saying yes to you and taking care of you along the way, you kind of say no to both. Because when your cup is not full as an individual, it's so hard to give to your motherhood. And when your cup is not full in your motherhood, it can make it hard to justify giving to yourself. So saying yes to you is saying yes to your kids and to your family. Investing in you at this time is investing in them. The miraculous amazingness of being a mom is that growing you grows the whole unit. So say yes to you, whatever that means. And if your next growth is in the realm of postpartum anxiety and depression, and learning how to say more yeses to you and making more time for yourself, which is one of the key ingredients that we work on, one of the key themes with my clients. If you'd like to work with me on this, I invite you to book a free 60 minutes with me and say yes to the next step. The free consult can be booked at LizzieLangston.com/consult. But I honor you, whatever the next yes looks like, and I pray that you will go to that growth. And I know that as you do, the Lord will sustain you. We are watched over and we are taken care of as women and as moms. All right, my friends. Love you to pieces. It's been so fun to share some of these things from my life with you. I really do pray for you guys. Right now in my heart, I'm like, yes, I love you so much. So we'll see you next week. Take care. Hey, Lizzie here. I've helped dozens of postpartum moms just like you to manage their postpartum anxiety and deconstruct their postpartum depression. It's really easy for me. So if you're ready to feel better, I know the way. Let's chat on the phone. Set up a time by going to LizzieLangston.com/consult. It's pretty simple, and I will be calling you soon.